What if you could diagnose autism in toddlers with nearly perfect accuracy? It sounds like something from the future, right? Well, a new AI system might just make that a reality, and the results are honestly stunning. Let's break down how this breakthrough could change literally everything.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with the headline number, because it's a big one. Then we'll get into why this is so needed, the challenges we face now. After that, we'll look at how the AI actually works, by mapping the brain. We'll check out the hard data from the study, and then, the big one, what this all means for early help.
All right, let's dive right in. First up, let's talk about the headline result from some new research that was just presented. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear this.
98.5%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the staggering accuracy rate a new AI system hit when diagnosing autism in toddlers. A number like that, it could be a total game changer.
So that brings us to the big question, right? Can an AI really do this? I mean, imagine having a tool that's this precise, giving families clear answers at such a critical time in a child's life. It sounds like science fiction, but this is the actual result of a groundbreaking new study.
But to really get why 98.5% is such a massive deal, we need to look at the problem it's trying to solve. And that's the diagnostic hurdle we're facing right now.
Right now, there is a huge gap. The CDC reports that a full 30% of kids who have autism aren't even getting a formal diagnosis by the time they're 8 years old. They're just slipping through the cracks during the most critical window for their development.
So why is this happening? Well, it's kind of like a perfect storm of delays. For one thing, the methods we use now just take a ton of time. They rely on observation. Then you've got specialized centers that are often totally swamped with super long wait lists. And on top of all that, observing behavior can be really subjective. It's a tough situation.
So how in the world did these researchers create an AI that gets around all those hurdles? Well, the answer isn't in watching behavior from the outside, it's about looking directly at the brain's internal wiring.
Dr. Gregory Barnes, one of the study's co-authors, really hits the nail on the head here. He explains that, at its core, autism is about how the brain is connected, or in this case, improperly connected. So the thinking is, if you can map those connections, you can actually see the biological footprint of the condition.
And the tool they use to do that mapping is called a diffusion tensor MRI, or DT-MRI. The concept is pretty cool, actually. It's a special kind of scan that tracks how water molecules move through the brain's white matter. By following the water, you can essentially map out the brain's information superhighways, all of its neural pathways.
So the AI's job comes in 3 main steps. First, it grabs those DT-MRI scans and isolates the important brain tissue. Then, it pulls out these key markers that tell it how different parts of the brain are connected to each other. And finally, and this is where the magic happens, the machine learning kicks in. It compares those patterns to a huge database of scans from both autistic and neurotypical children.
Okay, the method sounds really impressive, for sure. But does it actually work in the real world? Let's get into the hard data from the study itself.
So the researchers put this AI to the test on a data set of 226 brain scans. Now, this is the really important part. These were all toddlers, aged between 2 and 4 years old. The group included 126 children with autism and 100 children who are developing typically.
And wow, the results were just incredible. The system sensitivity was 97%. So what does that mean? It means it correctly identified 97 out of every 100 kids who actually had autism. So very few false negatives. On the flip side, its specificity was 98%. That means it correctly identified 98 out of 100 kids who were neurotypical. So very few false positives. You put those together and you get that jaw-dropping overall accuracy of 98.5%.
Researcher Mohammed Kodri explains it pretty simply. He says the AI is trained to spot areas of deviation. It just gets really good at learning the patterns of both typical and autistic brain development, and then it can classify new scans based on which pattern they fit.
And this is where it all comes together. This is where the science could become truly life-changing. Because, an early, accurate diagnosis isn't just about having an answer. It's about being able to do something. It's about intervention. The whole point here is to tap into something amazing called brain plasticity. A toddler's brain is like super adaptable, right? It's still wiring itself. The earlier you can start therapy, the bigger the opportunity you have to help the brain build new, stronger pathways.
And the research on this is totally clear. When therapy can start before a child turns 3, the benefits can be enormous. We're talking about better long-term outcomes, a greater chance at independence, and even the potential for higher IQs down the road.
Hey, remember that 30% number from before?
Well, here it is again, but in a totally new light. Researchers believe this AI tool could cut down a psychologist's workload by as much as 30%. It could act as an incredible screening tool, freeing up specialists to focus on the human side of things, confirming the diagnosis and helping families figure out what comes next.
And get this, the AI doesn't just spit out a simple yes or no. It creates this incredibly detailed report that maps out exactly which neural pathways are affected. It even provides a severity grade. It's like handing therapists a personalized, data-driven roadmap from day one.
So, what's next? Where does this all go from here? Well, with the research now published, the next big step is commercialization. The ultimate goal? Getting FDA clearance, which would make this a standard clinical tool that's available to doctors and families everywhere.
And all of this brings us to one last really powerful question. For so long, diagnosing these conditions has relied on subjective observation. But what happens when you can combine that with objective biological data straight from an MRI? This research suggests we might be on the verge of revolutionizing not just how we diagnose conditions like autism, but how we understand and support the developing brain, period.